Welcome to another edition of Cityscape, a show that highlights talent throughout the Rio Grande Valley. And today it's no exception. Today I've got someone who is not only my father-in-law, but who is a local author. And he's here today to talk to us about that. First of all, I want to welcome everyone that's watching us over YouTube, over Facebook, everyone that's listening to us over 97.7 FM, the city, driving around the McAllen, Edinburgh area, as well as everyone listening to us on TuneIn Radio app and as well as Radio Garden. So welcome, everyone. Like I was mentioning to you, my father-in-law is in the studio. I'm so proud because I was finally able to bring him onto our studio and talk about his book. Now, today at the McAllen Creative Incubator, there is the AuthorCon going on, the South Texas AuthorCon. So in our studio, right outside of our studio, within our building, which is called the McAllen Creative Incubator, AuthorCon is going on right now. So this is, we're gonna kick it off with and in my opinion, the best author here in the building today. So which is my father-in-law, Rene Liscano. So welcome, sir. Welcome to our show today.
Thank you.
And so, tell us a little bit about your book. Tell us the name of your book. And a little synopsis about your book.
Sure. The title of my book is One Life to Live or Give, and it's about the year that I spent in Vietnam during the 1969-1970 year. And it just says about what a young man right out of high school experienced in that scenario. But I also go back to my days prior to Vietnam, and that was my high school days. It's about a crazy young boy who was trying to find his place in life, and he found some serious part of life during the Vietnam conflict when I was serving there.
Now, where is your book available right now? Is it available online? Can we go through?
Yes, my book is available through Amazon publishers. And it sells for $9.99. We wanted to keep it at a low price so that it would be available for anybody who's interested on that area during that area of the Vietnam conflict.
Now, I understand you want to do a little bit of reading from your book. What are you going to be reading to us about?
Right now, it's just the beginning of a little bit of why this book was written and how I came down to finally putting it together after about 50 years after the Vietnam War. So I would like to just read some excerpts here, if I may.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Okay, the chapter 1 I'm going to read says the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War was tragic for our country in countless ways. So many young American lives were needlessly lost or permanently damaged in the long and difficult conflict. It ended in a sad and disgusting manner for the men and women who served in it, not to mention humiliation for the United States. I'll never forget the last days of the American military presence in Vietnam. Like others glued to their televisions at that time, I watched for our forces hastily leave the U.S. Embassy as the North Vietnamese Army, or the NVA, and the Viet Cong, the VC, triumphantly entered Saigon on April 30th, 1975. My feelings about these events really were mixed. I was angry, confused, and sad, of course. But I was also at peace with the fact that we were finally pulling out, regardless of the circumstances, and that no more members of our military would be dying in a seemingly endless war in that far-off land. So many years had gone by. The Vietnam War didn't creep up on me. I was attending Far San Juan Alamo High School when I began paying attention to it. Among other things, I eagerly read our local newspapers, the Valley Evening Monitor, now the Monitor, and regularly watched the Huntley Brinkley Report on NBC or CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite. It seemed strange, but the more I learned about the war in Vietnam, good and bad, the more I wanted to join the U.S. Armed Forces.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Now, I understand that there's a lot of books out there already written about the Vietnam era, memoirs from Vietnam, from soldiers, from troops that were out there. But I know that there's very few written from Hispanic authors and even less from Rio Grande Valley authors. Is that correct?
That is correct. The other book that I came across was by a young man from Mercedes. He now passed away about a year or two ago, and he wrote a short a story uh, about his high school days and also about him joining the Air Force and serving in Vietnam in the Air Force. And I read it and I set it aside. And about 4 years later, I started to write my book.
And I'm not trying to make this about a black, white, brown issue, but there was a lot of troops during the Vietnam that were Hispanic. A lot of Hispanic troops served in Vietnam, and there are very few stories out there that people can read or can research. And so I'm very glad and very proud that you put this book together, because I think it's a story that needs to be told. There was a large number of Hispanic troops in Vietnam, and they all have a story, a very unique story to tell. A lot of it because of the cultural clash. Being in a different part of the world. Growing up in the Rio Grande Valley, which has its unique culture. And so I'm sure that your experience was very unique and very interesting. And so I urge everyone to go out and check out his book. It's One Life to Live or Give. Now, tell me about the title. It's very intriguing. How did you go about picking this title?
Well, the fact is that as a helicopter door gunner, every day that we went out on combat missions, either dropping soldiers, inserted them into hostile areas, or picking up wounded soldiers, or taking food and ammunition out in the field, there was always a chance that we could get shot down by enemy rocket fires or enemy snipers, which happened time and again. So every day, every time that I went out on a mission, I always thought about, well, this is it, one life to live. I might make it back or I might not. So I try to think a lot about that one life, about my family back home, my brothers, sisters, my friend. Try to make the most of it during that day, especially as we would go into hot LZs. What I mean is, we had to open up against an enemy that was firing at us. So it was very, very hectic, very tense. And to this day, I still think that I'm very fortunate and I'm blessed to be here. But one life to live was that reality that anything could happen on that final day, which to some of my friends, it did happen. They had their final day, their mission went awry for some reason. They got shot down and got killed. So we all had one life to live when we were there in Vietnam, and we had to make the best of it.
I remember the time. I recall the time you were sharing a story with me about, how up in the helicopter, up in the air, you're a target. Everyone that's hiding down the bottom of the triple canopy jungle can spot you and take a shot at you. But you also said there was another thing you had to worry about, was about this very unique booby traps that they would set up on kites, right? Tell me about that story.
The enemy used to, when they knew that American soldiers were working in an area, they knew that they had to be resupplied. So what they would do, they would put booby traps of some sort. I don't know how they fixed them, but they would have a little propeller with a string tied to a grenade or some explosive device. And as the helicopter was hovering to or coming down for landing to drop troops or pick up troops or whatever, the propeller caused by the wind of the helicopter wings, um, rotors, they would set that fan to going, and as it was going, the string was getting shorter and shorter, and then it would release the pin or whatever was holding that mechanism, and the rocket or explosive would go off there right where the helicopter was. It happened several times. It never happened to me. The closest I got was in front of my ship. A sniper hit one of my door gunners, and he died as a result. He got hit in the neck area. But there was always that kind of danger. I never knew what the Viet Cong was up to, only that he was ready to destroy us in any way possible.
Fantastic. Now, as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share about your book?
The book is mainly, if you get a chance to read it, you're gonna see a very crazy young kid who wants to experience life in many ways. My high school years were spent as a migrant worker in the state of Indiana, and I enjoyed those years. But after high school, I decided that I didn't want to go do migrant work, or I had no plans. So the best thing I did was to join the military along with some of my friends. Some of my friends joined the army, others joined the Marines, others joined the Navy, and some of us came back, and some never came back, and that's how I ended up in the service.
That's right. Now, I encourage everyone to go out and pick up a copy of this book. In our right underneath this post on Facebook, we're going to put the link to the location where you can purchase these online. That way, it'll make it easy for you to simply just click on it and order your book from Ranel Iscano. Now, I understand you grew up in the FAR, PSJ
Yes, I
area.
went to school in Far San Juan Alamo, and that's where I came back and lived there for several years until I got married. I married my high school sweetheart, so we're still married 52 years later.
And I encourage everyone to reach out to one of their loved ones. We have a lot of family members here that are related to a veteran, whether it be from Vietnam or from another war. Reach out to them. I know folks like my father-in-law here served during the time where PTSD wasn't a known thing. Nowadays, not that it makes combat any less harsh, right? But a lot of the younger veterans were directed to counselors and to get the necessary help. A lot of folks from World War II that might still be around. I know that there are very few less, but folks from the Vietnam era who for a long time weren't able to get any help because there was no such thing. They didn't recognize it. They didn't realize. So I encourage you guys to reach out to your parents, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles who might have served in Vietnam, and encourage just give them a call and see if they're okay. See if there's anything you can do for them. See how you can help. And if they haven't gotten any help, please help them go out and get some help. There's the VA has a lot of programs that you can always reach out to, call their main number and get some help. Now I know that there's a campaign out there going on because we've got it is an estimate or an average of 21 veterans who are taking their lives on a daily basis, and that's just way too many. Even one would be too many. So I encourage everyone to go out there and reach out and just give them a call, give a veteran a call. And I encourage you to go out and purchase this book. Once again, it's on which platform is selling it? Is it Amazon?
Amazon Publishers.
Amazon Publishers. That's right. Go out and reach it. We're going to put a link right underneath this post so that you can go out and find it. Mr. Liscano, anything else you'd like to share?
No, thank you for having me.
We appreciate you making the time to come out of your busy schedule and talk to us and talk to our audience here. And until next time, keep listening, keep watching 97.7 FM, The City.
Boy, that's interesting.